Bases dropped on another week of Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer down here. John here, you there. Being July 4th, week might be a little weird. So here's what we're thinking. Today, obviously normal. Tomorrow, because the boss is in the Peachtree Road Race, no morning show. But because of the matches going on in Major League Soccer and probably all the other news that's going on, keep your notifications posted for something in the afternoon because after lunch, boss comes home, she crashes. We'll keep an eye on her to make sure that she's properly hydrated, gets enough rest, especially after getting up tomorrow morning, probably about 5. And then power hour-ish, time to be determined. So that is what's going on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, normal. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, normal. Tuesday, time to be determined. Think of it in the afternoon sometime, and we'll figure it out then. Evening Bam, morning Coco. Bam is, Bam's enjoying what's going on in Test cricket, where apparently fans inside of clubhouses, for lack of a better word, are tripping players from the other team. Australia and England have been going at it, and it has turned into at least must-see social media because of how things are ending. So Bam will keep an eye on all of that for us. Jarrett, I believe, is headed toward Colorado. So he will be in and out, might be dropping in this week, but we'll see. But this is a vacation week for Jarrett, so he's heading to the Mountain Time Zone. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Coco. Morning, Tom. Morning, DM Tim. And morning, Alex. Hope you're well. Morning, D. Graham. What's happening? Well, pretty much it's we're going to talk about it all. So this morning, it is in hour number 1. Well, I mean, is the Chattahoochee in Paulding County. See, DM Tim, you had me hooked. I was like, okay, I'm missing something. But tonight, wow, this morning, obviously we'll talk about Atlanta United, Philadelphia Union. Whatever's on your mind, lay it out there. Morning Ropes, Morning Nile. And you got, Bam has El Trafico in front of 80,000 folks, setting a new record probably for attendance in Major League Soccer. So that one's going to be a fun one to discuss as a part of the afternoon show tomorrow. So we'll talk about Atlanta and Philly. Talk about the rest of Major League Soccer on the weekend. Hour number 2, whenever he wishes to parachute in, could be 10, could be 10:30. It'll be Bart Keeler. And Bart will discuss the USMNT and what happened last night. Jesus Ferreira, back-to-back hatties. And I think it was a natural hat trick last night. So, So we'll see what happens there. So Bart Keeler joining us in hour number 2 to discuss the end of the group stage for the United States. But so hour number 1, all throughout the show, Atlanta United and Philadelphia, Major League Soccer. Hour number 2, whenever he wants to parachute in, Bart Keeler from the SoccerForUSPod. And then reffing down here. Okay, cool. All right, so Bart's got a reffing down here all dialed up. Oh, Christina Uncle was in the building yesterday. I was not aware of that. It's because, when you're downstairs and you're upstairs and you're upstairs and you're downstairs, and you're trying to figure out where you are. I was not aware about Christina Uncle's presence yesterday. Okay, so there you go. Tom, I don't know what's going on. I'm looking on the secondary screen, and while I'm behind, I'm still there. So, Tom, I don't know what's going on with your stream. It's Monday. I chalk it up to Monday, but obviously there's also a lot of transfer news to get into. We've got gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and we've got another 2 days before the transfer window opens here in Major League Soccer. We'll keep an eye on that. The news yesterday out of Atlanta United looks like the early diagnosis, morning Knicks. Early diagnosis is a hamstring again, and we all know how those are very, very testy. It's got to be 100% correct. 100% correct. And, there always is that cycle of returning back to where things were. So Just keep an eye on what's going on with Gigi. Hamstring up for review. Don't know the status of it, but when he went down yesterday, it was pretty scary. So obviously, we'll keep an eye on Yorgos Giacomakis for the Montreal, New England, Orlando stretch coming up, starting 3 matches in a week starting this Saturday. So obviously, we'll keep an eye on that. It's Happy Queso Day. I was not aware of this, OG. I'm not necessarily the largest queso individual, but because allergic to milk. So that's why I can't quite do queso like everybody else. Okay. Whatever's on your mind, obviously, this morning. Free cup with Atlanta United win. Thank you, Nix. Okay. Thank you. Emilio, we are checking, obviously, when news comes out about a scan. They were trying to figure out if they could get something done either this morning or as quickly as possible. If they could, find a way to get something done last night, then they were going to. Good morning, Rich. Morning, Rich. We're going to talk about the flopping by Atlanta. Load it up. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Atlanta and Philly. Opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. And with the opening kickoff this morning, once again, Kickoff Coffee at kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off of your purchase, and they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game and youth initiatives that they are tight with. And so that is Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, so opening kickoff this morning is kind of selfish. Yesterday, for those of you who are here in the Atlanta area or outside the Atlanta area and come in to the home matches for Atlanta United, and you go to the supporters group pen, the parking area over by the Atlanta University Center on the western side of Memorial Drive. Is it Memorial Drive? The western side of the street instead of the eastern side in the Gulch where you used to be. There's always a point in the day where the crew that produces some of the stuff that you see on the Halo board, we always make that trek to that side of Northside Drive. Man, not Memorial Drive, Northside Drive. The other side of Northside Drive, we go to the supporters group. We go to the tailgate lot, and there's always that time where it's our crew and it's Joe Freihofer and it's myself, and we always go out there and say hi to everybody. And Joe has work that he has to do for the Inside the A piece, and whether it's tied to supporters groups or the day or something like that, it's great to go out and see folks. Yesterday, it was really cool to see a lot of you tied to the Boss and Faction, which is her supporters group. See everybody from Terminus Legion, all the other supporters groups. To see Ropes as I was walking in, to see Tom Russo as I was walking in. Tom Russo was spinning a mean session as the DJ. Let's see. So Nix, Ropes, Russo, everybody at Faction. Just catching up with folks, taking pictures, shaking hands. And I will say this. The fact that Rich Ransom made the trek from Philly to be in that parking lot with the supporters groups, Rich, I give you and the fans from Philadelphia a lot of credit. You pack it, you pack your space, you come in and you hang out with the supporters. And it was great to see you yesterday. It was great to see you and your friends that made the trek and got to hang out. And so I hope that as Nix says in the Twitch pitch, result notwithstanding, we hope you had a good time. And I hope that you and your friends that were in the Western Gulch were given the Southern hospitality and friendship that you've been able to garner here at SDH, and have that kind of expanded into the supporters groups that were there. And I think that that's what yes. Well, let's get the man healthy first, Tom. But I hope that what happened yesterday before the match with the supporters groups, bringing in and welcoming in Rich and his Philly brethren, only security. Okay. The only issue is with security. Everyone else was great. I'm hoping that it's an example that can be carried forward for a bunch of different reasons. Because of the camaraderie, because of the friendship, because of all of those things that, we talk about community here. And we've always tried to grow the community and make sure that it's a great representation of what the support of the game is, both in the individual sense of match day and what the sport is. So I'm hoping that you guys had a great time, apparently outside of security. And what I would love is for it to continue to rub off. When you're in another town, when you're in another market, when you're at another match, it doesn't matter what the match is. I'm hoping, and like I said, this is me talking off the top of my head. I know that surprises you. But what I'm hoping is that kind of respect, appreciation, and, fandom continues to rub itself off on other directions. The whole you tell two friends and so on and so on and so on, that kind of a thing. I was over the moon to see Philadelphia fans yesterday with Atlanta United fans, and the whole element of just, togetherness yesterday. Yeah, we all know that you're a fan of a particular team, and match day shouldn't matter. And Jason Nix has posted in the Twitch pitch the personification of the whole thing. It's a photo that was taken, and I think it was one of Rich's friends that was holding the camera. But it is a photo of Ricky Ricardo, Nix, myself, Rich, and Ropes. That is what this should be every single time. I know that Atlanta United fans, because there are those times where I do go on away games, but I don't get the chance to see to the extent that I do for home matches. But to see Rich, make the trip, I thought it was way cool. But to see a photo like the one that's taken, that the one has been linked to by Nix in the Twitch pitch, of Ricky, Nix, myself, sweating profusely, having dressed for work, Rich, and Ropes. That's what it should be about all time. That's what it should be about the whole time. Absolutely. And to see stuff like that, it's fantastic. And to be able to see that on a daily basis, I can't say enough about it. Well, but that's the thing, Rich, it was either the dress gray, the dress gray golf shirt, or just go full Johnny Cash, which is fine, because I kind of have to dress for where I am, and by that I mean indoors. And I would rather be warm indoors. I'd have to, I'll settle for being, outdoors, dressed like I'm supposed to be dressed, and then cool off indoors when I get indoors. I will admit that over time in this business, Rich, a full Johnny Cash has been kind of my shtick. That when I used to dress all in black when I was doing live television, and that was just how it was. But that photo, once again, you can click on it in the Twitch pitch, click the link, do whatever. But that is what it's all about. that particular photo. That's what all of this is all about. And I can't thank all of you guys for being the part of the family here at SDH that you are. And to just show stuff like that. The togetherness, regardless of what jersey you wear. And we'll get into what happened last night also with Mexico and the chant when Bart joins us in hour number 2, because it's something that we got to talk about. So it was, it was far different than what we saw out at the supporters tailgate yesterday in Atlanta, but obviously we'll talk about that when the CONCACAF discussion and the Gold Cup discussion coming up in hour number 2 with Bart. But that picture is what it's all about. Seeing Abby, and I wish that she'd been able to get into the game. We got to figure out. We've got to figure out some kind of a golf cart or something like that for those that are, that it takes a little longer to get from the supporters group lot to Mercedes-Benz. We got to figure something like that out, because Abby could not get into the match, but she did take the time to go to the supporters groups, the supporters group lot. So there you go. That was your opening kickoff. Community. That's your opening kickoff this morning. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Thanks to everyone who has so far. Don't forget to use that code. You get 15% off your purchase at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So, since we are at this particular point of the morning.
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
There you go. All right. So, we'll go through the numbers on the day and get you dialed up for all of this. And I'm going to go through the numbers on SofaScore. The number of touches that some of the Philadelphia players had, minimal at best. I want to say Julian Carranza had only 4 touches, close to 18 yards and in. But we'll get into that. Yes, happy birthday to Joe, happiest of Joes, and as well. So no, very, very cool stuff there. So let's get into the numbers from SofaScore and the analysis once again. We'll go over what you guys are talking about. Go ahead and lay your comments out in the Twitch pitch. I'll go back and cycle through them. If I miss something, go ahead and don't forget to repost. Don't forget to repost. And because you know me, I'm all over the place. Tailgate's easy to get to, parking, walking. Yeah, we got to work on stuff like that. All right, so stats for the day. Possession ended up being Philadelphia 51-49. Of course, when you've got a 2-1 lead or a 2-0 lead and the other team's trying to chase, they're going to try to keep the ball away from you. 15-14 total shots for Philadelphia. Shots on target 7-1 for Atlanta United. Last 180 minutes in that building in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Number of shots on target, 1 for Philadelphia. The goalless draw last year and the 2-0 loss yesterday, 1 shot on target in both matches total. Shots off target, 5-1 Philly. Block shots, 9 for Philadelphia, 6 for Atlanta, especially late as Philly was trying to launch and chase. 6 corners to 3 for Atlanta United. 6 offsides for Philly, none for Atlanta United. 14 fouls to 10, Ted Uncle. Go ahead, lay it all out there, Ted Uncle. 14-10, 4 yellows to 2 for Philly. 1 big chance missed for Atlanta United. Shots inside the box, 12-8. 5 saves for Joe Bendick. Only 1 save for Brad Gazan. 1 save for Brad Gazan. Of course, when you have 1 shot on target and it ends up being that 1 save, that's what you were talking about. Passing numbers, 81% completion percentage for Philly. higher than Atlanta United, which is interesting. Long balls 33-30 for Philly. Crosses 6-2 for Atlanta. Brooks Lennon had a very busy day taking care of Nathan Harrell. Dribbles 4-2 for Philly. Possession lost 50-50. Atlanta won 43 out of the 81 duels on the day, but they won 15 of the 23 in the air. And dealing with the height advantage that you traditionally see with Philadelphia, Atlanta winning 15 out of 23 in the air. That's big. Tackles 16-13 Philly. Interceptions 15-8 Philly. Clearances 15-14 for 15-14 for Atlanta. Lineups. I know that there was a lot. There was a lot that was attached. Yeah, Abby, yeah. Ted Uncle's very slow to give cards on general premise. And when he does, he's uneven. And we'll also get into that with reffing down here when Bart joins us in hour number 2. Brad, a 7.1, wasn't really all that busy. It was 5-3-2, 5-4-1 for Atlanta United. One of the tenets that I've always stuck by, one of the first things that I learned from Jason, always have one more in defense than they do in attack. With Ua and Carranza up top in the 4-4-2, that to me meant you had to have three center backs. Hernandez, Purata, Abram, Wiley and Lennon on the wings. Then in the middle, you had Thiago, Omar Sadic, who played his ass off. Franco Ibarra. I mean, basically everybody played their ass off. And then you kind of had Machop Chol in behind Yorgi Shakamakis to kind of help things out and try to have some kind of positional gravity and work folks away from Gigi. Gigi had to be pulled in the 29th minute. Like I said, it's a hamstring. Gonzalo Pineda said as much. The extent we do not know. And he was subbed in the 29th minute by Miguel Berry. So your numbers, Juanjo Purata, a 7.7 yesterday. Abram, who played really well, had a 6.8, and this is once again courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. Ronald Hernandez is 7.2. Brooks Lennon at 7.8 with the goal. Franco Ibarra with the 6.8 got the yellow card. He will not be available for the Montreal match. Sadic is 7.2 with a yellow. Caleb Wiley is 6.5. Machop Chola 6.4. Thiago, obviously, a goal and an assist. He had a 9. And Yorgis, before he left, he had a 6.7. Miguel Berry, a 6.9. Tyler Wolf came in. Hey, ask for the Wolf man, and you will receive. Subbed out to Machop Chol for the final 27-plus minutes at a 6.4. Andrew Gutman, Santi Sosa, Ozzy Alonso. The triple change that happened with 5 to go. You brought the 3 of them in to shut the door, and they did. Starting lineup for Jim Curtin, the newly contract extended Jim Curtin. Ua, a 6.4 with a yellow. Carranza, a 6.5 with the yellow. Gazdag, a 7.1. Flock, playing a little out of position, is 7.1. Jose Martinez is 6.9. We'll get into the Jose Martinez discussion here in a little bit. Ali Bedoya is 7. And Mbaizo is 6.6. Nathan Harriel is 6.7 with a yellow. Jack Elliott, Jacob Glesnes, 6.9, 7.1. Joe Bendick is 6.9. Getting into touches when it comes to the defense that we saw in this one. Michael Ua, who wondered why he got the yellow when he did, considering he was dragging the folks down. 16 touches on the day for Michael Ua. 16 touches on the day for Michael Ua. Also on, now this is the thing about SofaScore. SofaScore just gets to be annoying now. When you want to you can't minimize a player. When you're done looking at a player's stats, you can't minimize that player to go pick up another one. 16 touches on the day for Michael Ua. Carranza on the day, 35 touches, but as we said, only 4 within, say, 20 yards of goal. 4 touches of the 35 within 20 yards of goal. 15 and 22 passing at 68%. Also for Philadelphia in that one, just going over touches in general, Gazdag was basically put in a blender all day by Franco Ibarra. 44 touches for Gazdag, 27 of 32. And his heat map, non-existent inside the 18. Most of the time for Gazdag, his touches were just outside of center circle in the attacking half. So Daniel Gazdag, not a factor. Only a handful of time spent inside the 18-yard box with a touch. You mentioned Jose Martinez. Jose Martinez, once again, he was a part of the buildup, but the second that you got to the attacking third, shut it down. 53 touches, 21 of 30, 70%, 2 long balls, won 8 of 12 duels, 7 of 10 on the ground. Had a dribble, had a shot block, lost possession 17 times. Jose Martinez lost possession 17 times yesterday. Also, when it comes to losing possession, if I can find it, possession was lost 6 times by Ua yesterday. Let me go over one more. Carranza, when it comes to possession lost, 13 times. So Julian Carranza and Jose Martinez combined lost possession 30 times yesterday because of the defense for Atlanta United. Looking at all those numbers. And of the 17. Yeah. And Ropes, we are going to get into that with Nick being big mad with Tonali. That is now officially official. Like I said, we got plenty of gossip, rumor, and innuendo to get into this morning. Jose Martinez, you want to get him off his game? You want to certainly do that. You find a guy, you find that guy that you want to sit there and chase to make sure that he has a frustrating day. Jose Martinez was that guy because of what Jose Martinez has done with and to Atlanta United players in the past. Jose Martinez was in the spot shadow. He was in the bullseye, whatever you want to phrase it. And so for Atlanta United, he was that guy. He was the marked man yesterday, and I mean that in more than one sense, both figuratively and literally. Chop him down, get him frustrated. And this was the other element in this. Atlanta United did not get frustrated with what Philadelphia tried to do, what they always try to do. Did not get frustrated at all. And with Philadelphia and Rich, I think that this is going to be a match where Philadelphia is going to have to look at itself in the mirror and figure out what happens. You know, everybody, there's always that phrase. There's always that phrase that comes through. Was it Mike Tyson? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Atlanta United responded to Philadelphia as Philadelphia responds to the league. Atlanta United played like Philly yesterday. Didn't get bogged down with the rough play. Matched them with it, targeting Jose Martinez. How does Philadelphia respond going forward? Atlanta did not get goaded into making rash decisions. Didn't back down from any kind of a physical challenge. Wasn't afraid to do that kind of stuff. But you had we always talk about sandpaper, and it's a hockey term. You know, those third and fourth line guys that are going to sit there and they're going to be pains in the ass for whatever reason. DM Tim, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy. I think that's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt. No battle plan survives contact with the enemy. And so you had that. And yeah, so let's Let's get into this a little bit. Knicks, Caleb Wiley pointing to the scoreboard after he got slammed into the ad boards was chef's kiss. And then D. Graham following that up. Wiley going scoreboard was great too. And how Ted Uncle then wants to have a discussion with Caleb Wiley after Caleb Wiley was the one that got checked into the boards. And Caleb Wiley, once again, did not back down. Traditionally, in a situation like that, yeah, I do mean like Ty Domi. Those, Ryan Reeves, Ty Domi, Darren McCarty, that kind of stuff. That's what you're staring at. That kind of sandpaper. Sadic, Ibarra, and a lot of folks showed a lot of sandpaper yesterday. It's like as DM Tim says, that plan does not survive. The plan does not, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy. Philadelphia made contact with the enemy. The enemy stood there and was like, yeah. Is that all you got? And Atlanta United frustrated Philadelphia yesterday. And I think that this is going to be a match where Philadelphia going forward is going to have to look at itself and go, okay, what's plan B? Because there was no plan B for Philadelphia yesterday. None. They tried to continue to do the same thing, thinking that if they continued to do it, that something would change, and it did not. The only thing that changed was another goal on the board by Brooks Lennon, getting it past Joe Bendick. And then the colorful metaphor or exclamatory that Bendick said after the fact, after that second goal went through. And I know that there's been talk in the timeline that if Andre Blake was there, that second one probably would not have gone through. I don't think you can stop the first one. So it maybe finishes 1-0 as opposed to 2. But Philadelphia has to come up with a plan B. Atlanta United came out yesterday with that +1 at the back, still doing what they do philosophically. Philosophy did not change. Still pressing, still wanting to get the ball back as quickly as possible. Switches were there all day long as Philadelphia would overload one side. The passing was there. Confidence in it. Not afraid to switch. All those elements are there that are a part of the philosophy that we've seen. Just the formation was a little different because of the 2 attackers up top from Philly. That's why you had the 3 center backs. That's why you had the wings. 5 at the back at times, sometimes 3. So philosophy did not change. Formation, yes. Because once again, 2 up top, you always want to have that one more. Lesson number 1 from Jason. Long time ago when we first started hanging out. Always want to have one more in defense than you do in attack. Change your formation, did not change your philosophy. Philly tried to be Philly. Atlanta was like, okay, cool. Is that all you got? And so Atlanta out-Phillied Philly. Made sure that Jose Martinez was reminded every single time he touched the ball. As Burns said in the timeline, 17 of the times he lost possession, every single time he got kicked to lose possession. Remind him of where he is. Remind him of where he is and what he's getting into. But yeah, when Bart joins us, definitely we'll be getting into reffing down here with Ted Uncle and the approach that Ted Uncle had and other things. But, yeah, outsmarted and outfought him. Outfought Philly. Outfought Philly. There we go. Yeah, Ricky on the free kick had 10 people in the wall and couldn't stop Almada because you launched it in. You had the 3 players for Atlanta United in the wall who, as soon as impact happened, ducked. And why? Why do you have the player on the ground? Why? Why do you have the player on the ground? And the other thing that Philly's going to have to keep an eye on was the other set piece opportunity early where No one marked Brooks Lennon. We could kind of see it on the monitor as we were staring at it. It's like, okay, Brooks is walking away. No one from Philadelphia met him. Second time they did. Do it once, shame on me. What is it? Shame on you. First, you do it once, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. First time, no one from Philadelphia left the wall to mark Brooks Lennon. Chance was there. Could have been a second goal, which would have meant that it would have been 3. Second time, they did mark Brooks Lennon because it was like 30 plus, just right at 30 and then 30 plus in distance away. So it was right there on the edge. You were thinking maybe far post. But yeah, that the kick off of the set piece that Almada got past Bendick, no chance. No chance. Well, and that's the thing, Burn. We just figured out that Philly knows there are no yellows for hard fouls in MLS, so you chose to initiate, not retaliate. And that's the thing. Think about it in other sports. The one that retaliates is usually the one that gets in trouble. If you're first to do it, as you say, Burn, chose to initiate, not retaliate, you got there first. You took care of business and then forced the other team to react when it's traditionally the other way around. Philadelphia is going to have to look at this game and understand, okay, this is what happened to us. How do we respond in these moments? They had no answer. They continued to try to be who they are in a trailing manner, and you can't do that. So how does Philly learn from this? Do they learn from it? That's the question. So in these games where they trail, do they learn? Are they learning? That's what you're looking at here. That's what you're looking at. So that's one of the things that's going to stick with me. Well, and Rich, big talk from a team that got handled by Red Bulls the week before. And once again, I think and Rich and Ricky, they're going at it. Oh, Ricky, and what does that make y'all since y'all lost to a team that got beaten 4-0 a week ago? Oh, the back and forth this morning. So there you go. And Rich, this is the key. Rich is spot on. It is a week-by-week league. Absolutely. And that's why what we try to do here is run the cliche and take everything a game at a time and look at things in their context and see how everything goes. And take it a match at a time, figure out what's going on, and then how to apply it going forward. Now you guys have been, yes, Katie Weaver, hashtag never bet on MLS. Absolutely true. Niall, Jim Curtin allegedly, possibly, probably signed a contract extension. So if he does, it will be while he's under a contract from Philadelphia. And it will be, right now, Philadelphia controls the asset. Yes, Abby, we did. Yes, Rich and I met. And Jason Nix has posted in the Twitch pitch the photo of Ricky, Nix, me, Rich, and Ropes. It is in the Twitch pitch, so link to it, and it's also on. I think it's also on Nix's Twitter account. So, yeah. So, but once again, Curtin signed through 26, and he kind of alluded to it in his post-match presser. Nothing's official, but you could kind of read the tea leaves, and I'm paraphrasing. But once again, Philadelphia. No, I did not. No, I did not say that. I did not say that he was trying to walk back the comments he made this week. I have not seen him. If he tried to walk them back, I did not see it. But the apparently um, A for effort, Rich, with the driver's license. Apparently, the broadcast crew on Big Fox was alluding to the comments saying that Curtin came back and said they were out of context. I was not aware of this. I may have to go back and watch the broadcast. But the comments back from February walked him back and said it was taken out of context. Okay, yeah, okay. And so that's what I heard, is that on Big Fox, I did not know when this happened. I did not know when Curtin said he walked him back and said it was taken out of context. Did not know when that was. Did not know when that happened. So yeah, just go, guys. I don't know when he walked him back, said it was taken out of context, all that stuff. So I don't know when that happened. I just know that the Fox crew did mention that particular element of this. But once again, the larger lesson here, if you're a Philadelphia Union supporter, what do you learn? What do you learn from this? What do you learn? And how do you learn? Caleb Wiley and Mbaizo yesterday. The Nathan Harriel experiment did not go well to start things off. And Olivier Mbaizo certainly did enjoy the land of the step over when he did have possession. Yes, Coco. Now I'm going back in comments to try to catch up here for the remainder of the hour. Atlanta and the USMNT when Mexico lost to Qatar. Mexico did come out of group number one. Qatar, with the win, finished second in the group, so they advance. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see. All right, so I'm trying to figure out Coco flopping in this economy. Yep. Let's see. Rich, this is the first I'm seeing it about the security, and I know that Abby has mentioned sending something to an email address, and hopefully that gets squared away. Ricky Ricardo, I don't know if this is true, but I saw that Atlanta's never lost when Joe Bendick was in net. I don't know. I mean, I do know Bendick from his time with the Purple Team, who will be the next home match in 2 weeks. And we all know Bendick face from a particular moment involving a prolific scorer after he sets a record. So hashtag Bendick face did come and work his way up and through yesterday. So let's see here. I'm trying to, try to figure out what's going on. All right. So, Red Dragon ATL is where the photo is, the personification of what yesterday should be. Burned. Thought it was interesting that Atlanta had a specific plan to kick Jose Martinez out of the game. I didn't think Pineda had that much dark arts in him. It was glorious, and it worked. Ropes, and this is true. Jose Martinez is one of those players you hate as an opponent, but I'm sure Philly fans love him. Absolutely they do. And I know that, Rich, it's easy for me to sit there and presuppose something like that. But like I said, it's always the guy that the rest of the league hates. Once again, hockey reference, Sean Avery, Ty Domi, Darren McCarty, all those guys. Those guys, the Broad Street Bullies, to take it back to Philadelphia. Any of those guys you probably hated with a passion. Blonsbury, Van Imp, Bobby Clark, Don Selesky, Bernie Perrant, all of those guys. And I just dated myself with my first selection of hockey cards. all of those guys, and I imagine pick the team that you hate the most. Pick a team that you really dislike. Not the individuals, but the team. Guarantee you that there is a guy on that team that you dislike that the second your team picked him up, you're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I can guarantee you the same thing is with Pennsylvania and with Pittsburgh and with Philly. Katie Weaver, Jose, and Ronald were hugs and high fives after the match, Venezuela hermanos, but I think the league respects him. Yeah, Carranza and Almada talking together after the second goal. That I did see. But there are always going to be those players whose game you will sit there and go, I don't like that guy. I don't like what's going on. But sure enough, as we welcome in Jarrett Smith, having the Jose Martinez discussion, Jose's one of those players.
What do we do now?
Well, no, just Rope says Jose Martinez is one of those players you hate as an opponent, but I'm sure Philly fans love it.
Oh, yeah, he's big pest energy.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I think if you put him on this team, you also take away the fact that he has big pest energy.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
Good sex.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you love him on this team.
No doubt. So, Jarrett, we kind of got into the discussion here in hour number one that basically everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Philly got punched in the mouth and didn't have a plan B.
Well, I mean, Philly does the same thing. We talked about this. You know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, not everybody can punch them in the mouth in a unique way. Because the thing is, they want you to get combative. But when you get combative, you slip up.
Mm-hmm.
You lose focus. You maybe take it a step too far. Atlanta didn't do that. They were combative, and they didn't take it too far. They didn't trigger a red card. They didn't trigger an all-out brawl, but they were combative, and they stayed locked in mentally, which is the thing they've struggled with the last few games.
Mm-hmm.
And it is frustrating when you look at the last few games because you see what can be.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see how they carry it through into Saturday, what it looks like. But yeah, it's the right kind of being combative because you can be combative. You can go out there and fight Philly. I don't think anyone really cares if you go do that. Philly won't, because if you're so busy fighting them, they're going to run around you.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't let that happen.
And we've been discussing it all morning, and formationally you come out with probably something akin to a 5-3-2 at times, three center backs to combat the two up top, and just the ability of the defense, the back line and the midfield to keep Philadelphia's players from really getting any substantive touches. And I was going over, heat maps and such, and looking at guys like Carranza, who had, as an example, only 4 touches within 20 yards of goal on the day. And having that kind of defense to where everything was being disrupted by Atlanta United within plenty of space between the disruption and the goal. So, this is one of those things where you sit there and you file this one away. You learn from it on both sides, from Philadelphia and Atlanta. But I think that the book might be out, or at least another chapter of the book might be out, on how to stop Philly, and especially defensively.
But to me, it's kind of like the thing where in 2016, where the Atlanta Falcons rolled into Denver and beat the Broncos, and that was who was the tall drink of water out of Memphis who was playing quarterback for them for a bit?
Peyton Lynch.
Yeah, Peyton Lynch was under center, and Atlanta beat them. And Denver, this is a year after Denver had won a Super Bowl basically with defense. Like, Peyton Manning had half an arm, and Atlanta beat them. And someone has to keep Talib, who was playing for Denver at the time. Did Atlanta unlock, how to beat Denver? And he kind of offhandedly said, if every team has a Tevin Coleman, sure. like I said, you can call it a key to unlocking Philly, but you have to have the right pieces.
Paxton Lynch. Thank you, Ricky.
Paxton Lynch. You have to have the right pieces. You have to have the right pieces on during that day. Now they can be, but it's not as simple as saying, well, now Colorado can go unlock Philly. You have to have the right pieces.
Right.
And you have to play on the edge. You have to be combative. You have to get messy sometimes with your fouls to break up play. And you have to be able to square up. And you have to be able to square up in a way that doesn't take it over the edge. And it's tough because Philly drills that style. They know where the line is at all time. It is subconscious for them. And they're good at what they do, man. Like, I don't know if it's well, you've unlocked them. I don't necessarily think it has been like an unlocking. We'll see though. Like I said, I thought Gonzalo Pineda talked about it really in a fun way of, this is done. I'm gonna have a drink and I'm gonna enjoy this game.
Give me an IPA. Let me enjoy my IPA.
Oh, God, please do better than that. Because let's look at stats. Because the thing that got me is you limited them to one shot on target.
Yeah. And that's twice as many as they had last time that they were in the building.
I mean,
goalless draw last year.
Last year was weird. Last year you caught them in that late summer swoon. I mean, I don't mean to take away from it. I'm not trying to take away from it because it was a good performance last year. This year you caught them coming off, dropping 4 goals on Miami. And it seems like they're in a good run, and I think it makes it more impressive in what you were able to do.
Michael Valverde has a request for you, and it is to discuss Tyler Wolff and his IQ when it comes to his impact and football IQ. So Michael Valverde is asking you ask for the Wolfman analysis.
I mean, so he first of all, Tyler Wolff responded exactly like he should have after he got dropped from the U20 World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
He went out there and he just started scoring goals in bunches. He fits in what they want to do because he is so good at pressing. Like, you defend from the front and you make your life easier. He's really good at that. He's really good at pressing under control and not even just like trying to take the ball off of a defender, but kind of shepherding the ball because you're not always pressing just for the takeaway. You're funneling the ball to someone you want to have the ball.
Right.
He's really good at that. He's shown he can finish those close range chances. But yeah, he's always been really a smart player, and he's always been a high motor player who, he's going to be incredibly active. His work rate's going to be high. He knows where to be, and I think now this summer, honestly, ever since post Open Cup game against Memphis, where he scored early in that game, but late in that game he really faded hard.
Yeah,
it feels like ever since then he has put together all of those pieces. He's going to work hard. He's smart. He knows where to be, but he's in the right places at the right time more often than not. His head is up. He's looking for the right ball. He's looking for the right pass. He's looking to be in the right spot. He's continuing runs. It's just kind of one of those things. Sometimes it just takes time for guys to put all of those things together.
As we get ready for hour number 2, Bart Keeler is going to parachute in at some point, and then we'll discuss USMNT. Bart also has some reffing down here. I imagine that it's attached to Ted Uncle, and we'll be discussing.
I mean, Philly's going to have complaints too, and we can talk about it because I know Philly fans were really upset when Amar Sejdic basically put his laces into Jose Martinez's stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a lot of people wanted red for that. And I know we can get into a part about was it Dogso with the foul with Yorgos Yakimakis in the first half. Because the question isn't whether or not it was a foul. I mean, the referee adjudged it to be a foul.
Yeah.
I think it's soft. I think Yorgos is looking for it, but we've talked about this before. When you're looking for it and you find it, you still find it.
Yep.
Like, just because someone's looking for that contact, and if they get that contact, it's still a foul. Just because you're looking for it and you find it doesn't mean you don't get to keep it. But is it DOGSO, or are we assuming possession too much?
Yeah. And I think that's
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, and that's part of it. When frankly, I think a lot of folks were stunned when Kevin Stott buzzed down to Ted Uncle. And it's like, wait,
I was glad that he did, because
Kevin Stott was here.
I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought it was handled perfectly. He gets talked into it on a penalty on the field. You can't VAR the foul itself in that situation, in my opinion. You're not looking at that. You're looking to see if it was in the box or not. Mm-hmm. And you judge it to be a foul. The foul happens outside the box. You're not going to VAR a foul and say it didn't happen.
Right.
Outside the box, because that is setting a wormhole open to hell of calls. Mm-hmm. But it happens outside the box. It was handled really well, and then he calls it a penalty. They say go look at it. He does, and he gets it right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a foul that was outside the 18, despite the initial looks. It was a foul that was inside the D, and that was where it was, and it set up all the other activity that was attached to it. It is pushing the top of the hour, so that means one thing, and as I sit here and kill time trying to adjust audio levels before Bart Keeler comes in, and we have reffing down here, we have the USMNT, we have SoccerForUSPod, we've got a bunch of other things. Time to hit a button and read a promo. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, it's a Lemonize service. Lemonize deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. The turnkey process makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, offering a green way, we like that, to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever, different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach under the sink or above us in the cupboard, take out the masking agent, spray the masking agent in the air. There's a reason it's called a masking agent. Duh. It masks the odor. It doesn't attack the problem all the way down to the molecule like Lemonize does with their proven scientific formula. Pricing either one of two ways, but whichever is easiest, pour VU. Cubic feet or parts per million. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website. And this is where I grab my pen. Lemonize.com, but after the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from so they can help you with your issues. Full homework. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, Lemonize.com /Atlanta. A Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH here on a Reaction Monday. Over, under, or on par. And there's no such thing as a slow fade. It'll crash at some point, as it always does. So it is now time to bring in this guy, Bart Keeler. So it is a fade. It is a three-way dance here in hour number 2, and he's busted out the Atlanta United mug this morning. Greetings, Bartimus Prime team.
We're celebrating this morning. Atlanta United finally looked like a team that was competent. Looked like a team that could adjust to what the other team threw at them, and looked like a team that had some coaching. So let's celebrate, man.
Bart coming in with all guns blazing, as he always does.
Hey, I called him out for it last time, so I got it right. I got to give him praise for the fact that he actually coached today or yesterday.
Well,
that's good for Pineda, and I don't think a formation change is going to stick with this. I mean, we can talk about the three at the back if we really want to, but it just made sense for that game against Philly.
Right.
But the fact that we tried it and it was fairly successful defensively, I think there were still some issues offensively, and we can talk about those if we really want to. But from a defensive standpoint, it made a whole lot of sense, and it really did limit the amount of chances Philly created. The beginning of that second half was stressful, but we figured it out. I mean, I think that's the best part is the team figured it out. I don't want to give too much credit to Pineda for in-game adjustments because it looked like the players on the field were the ones who figured it out. But Pineda's setup allowed them to do that.
Which is what
he said after the game.
Yeah. I mean, I think some people think that coaches, especially in soccer, like they're over there with their play call sheet going, do that. I mean, it doesn't work like that. But he allowed them
32 Y banana.
Yeah,
go.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, his subs were good. I thought that they were timed well, killed off the game well. So yeah, Pineda gets an A for that game.
Jarrett Smith, go for it.
I know he says much after the game and post game that basically like, hey, I gave the guys a plan. They went out and executed it. And it's what I like to see from a coach. And I know people have different opinions on Pineda, but he does the thing that I like to see coaches do, and that I think is important in this era because, as we've seen with so many coaches in the modern era, you can't be Bud Kilmer anymore. It doesn't work. You can't be what's her name? Who's coaching Ireland now? Who was coaching Houston in 2018?
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, we have to reset the how many days without an incident target for WSL.
Waking up to that report on my that story on my timeline.
Yeah.
I don't know why I had that was one of the 600 tweets I could view, but that was one of them.
Yeah, we'll get into that too at some point here in this show. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he does the thing that I like the coaches do, which is when things don't go well, you kind of become a rodeo clown. You're trying to attract attention. You're trying to attract criticism off of players. And when things go well, you're trying to deflect praise to the players. And it's what you do to keep guys up. It's kind of like with like, I was fine with Andrew Gutman not starting yesterday because he had made mistakes in the last two games. He gets caught leaning against NYC and gives up goal in the first minute. He falls asleep on a throw-in against Red Bulls. He needed to not start this game. But you brought him in late in that game. You show some confidence and faith in him and say, look, I'm not banishing you to the bench. I need you to come in this limited run and show me something. And he did. And he worked hard defensively. And it's what I needed to see from him in that moment. Does he start against Montreal? I don't know. Let's see what Montreal is going to look like. I don't know if you go 3 center backs or if you go to 2 center backs and, maybe it is Ronald Hernandez at left back again. And maybe it's, when you get forward, it's Ronald Hernandez dropping back to make kind of a back 3 as opposed to a number 6 dropping into that back line to make a back 3. And maybe it's, Ozzy or Sosa stepping up further. Depends on how you're feeling about it because Montreal, we'll get into it this week, but Montreal is a team that's going to bring pressure on you. They it's Losada. He wants to press you in an insane way. But we'll get to that throughout the week, or y'all will. I'll be in Colorado.
I was going to say, when do you leave us, sir?
Tonight. But he said the right things after the game yesterday. The guy, and I think he's right. The guys executed the game plan beautifully. You got the key moments from your mercurial star. We are not worthy. He will one day return to his people on another planet. Thiago Almada. And is there anyone in the than Joe Bendik?
Yep. Bendik face. Once again, we got to see Bendik face. I know, Bart, that you did have some reffing down here that you wanted to get into. Because, when you do, we always want to bring that to the table, even if it is on a Monday as opposed to a Wednesday or whenever you visit. What specific elements of hashtag reffing down here did you want to get into this morning? Is it Ted Uncle based? Is that what
it is? Ted Uncle based.
Okay.
I do want to point out that I thought overall Ted refereed the game fairly well. I think he could have given Philly some yellow cards in the first half, but I think we also kind of got a yellow card in the first half for tempers flaring a little bit. He managed that okay. And then gave yellow cards when needed, especially for some persistent infringement. But the one I want to talk about is the goal sequence, right? Yeah. The ball over the top to Gigi. He gets tripped up from behind. The execution of was it a penalty or not was perfect. had to go to the monitor, sees that it wasn't in the foul. The initial contact was not in the penalty area.
Right.
However, what I have a problem with is if you give a penalty and give a yellow card, you're admitting that that's dog so, right? That's what we do. We don't give red cards for penalties and dog so. We say this is yellow card because of that double jeopardy thing. As soon as you take that and say, no, just kidding, it's not a penalty, the contact was outside of the box, it's still a dog so situation. It's still a dog so foul. But now that you've taken him outside the box, that should be a red card. Philly should have been playing with 10 men for 70 minutes of that game, and Ted Uncle flubbed that sequence because it should have been a red card to Philadelphia if you're going to take away the penalty and give a free kick because the foul was a dog so foul. And it was a dog so. I mean, the only defender clearly going on goal, clearly close to goal. All of the D's of dog so were met. And the fact that was not the yellow card was not rescinded and a red card given was a failure by Ted Uncle to execute the laws of the game in that situation. Because I don't see how that foul in that situation is just a yellow card foul. That is clearly dog so.
All right, run through your D's. For those that don't know your D's for dog so, run through dog so for me.
So it's distance, direction, distance, defenders, right? So how many defenders, right? That we always say last man back, last defender. So that was clearly it. Direction, you're going toward goal. Distance to goal, very close, right? We thought at first it was like in the box, and then we looked at it was 20 yards out, so very close. And then distance from you to the ball. And again, it was like, well, he was very playable. So again, he gave the yellow card for the penalty kick correctly. If you give a dog so foul like that, because unless he said it wasn't dog so, which I don't understand how they couldn't have been, the yellow card for a legitimate play on the ball. It wasn't like he pulled him down from behind; he just tripped him.
Yeah.
That's kind of where as long as you're making contact, like with the feet going somewhere close to the ball, that to us is a legitimate play on the ball. Okay, fine. He gets a yellow card because we get a penalty kick. As soon as you take that penalty kick away, it's got to be a red card. That's dog so. And so I do think Uncle missed that bad. But, Thiago Almada still made Philly pay. And you can't tell me that Thiago did not plan. He definitely meant to do that with kicking it off the wall and then rifling it home.
Okay, so then I know that you feel it is dog so. Make the case for it not to be dog so. If I'm look at it from 180 degrees.
Yeah, so I think the case against it is maybe the direction of play or like the distance from Gigi to the ball may have been a little much. It's very likely he could say, actually, the goalkeeper probably would have got it, which maybe is true. I find it very hard to not give the dog so, but I think you could rationalize it by saying that Gigi wasn't fully in control of himself. It was kind of a 1v1. It was kind of not a 1v1, but it was close to the keeper. Keeper could have got it type of thing. I don't really see how you could make that, but there are ways that you say, okay, well, the distance from Gigi to the goal maybe was too much,
But that's why when you make a case one way, what I want is for you to come the other side and then go, okay, what I'm looking for. I want you to make the case for both in case someone may be with you but not understand, or not understand and not be with you. That's why I wanted to have you make the case for both here.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think what triggered me was that he gave the yellow card for the penalty kick foul, and that is pretty consistent with the laws of the game when we say this was still a legitimate play on the ball, but it's a foul inside the box. That's dog so. That's a penalty kick.
Okay. All right. So when you look at so now the other reason that we like to have you on is to discuss things. And by the way, that you end up with activity. This is a busy night for you. Did you go to Fido? And
I did. Yeah, I saw Rich Ransom, by the way, there. So, Rich, thanks for coming out to Fido. Watch the game. Saw Abby as well. Saw some other people. So, thanks everyone who came out. We had a few shots. And yes, Abby, I took all of them.
So every shot on net you took yesterday was on target.
All 6 of them were taken.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Wow. Man. All right. So let's get into what's going on with the national team. A new episode of Soccer for US POD is coming out later today. Won't be too much later today because we've got to get off the air. Then we have to download it and then we put it on the network. So without spoiling the group conversation. Now, well, wait a second. All right. So now I'm processing this. When was this taped?
Oh, it was last week because this is the U.S. women's roster.
Okay.
This was last week. I had a busy week, so I wasn't able to fully
Okay, I was like, because I was waiting for a second. I was like, wait a minute, when was this taped? Okay, so it's the women's national team roster. Okay, all right. So that's coming up later today on the network. So let's discuss what happened yesterday.
Yeah,
on a couple of different fronts, and it's another question. It's the question that I've asked you before in this group stage. When you have a win that is of this depth and breadth, what do we take away from something where the margin was so large?
I mean, I still think you take away a good deal because Trinidad is a better opponent than St. Kitts and Nevis. Trinidad and Tobago is a slight level up. So you can take away the fact that you still scored 6 goals. I thought offensively you looked very good. And I thought, more importantly, you were able to do what you needed to do against Trinidad, which was force errors in the midfield and the back line. Trinidad created attacking opportunities. They're not a bad attacking side, but they do kind of lack that quality, especially without, the best midfielder in Trinidad, Jay Fortune, on the field. They didn't have the quality in midfield or in defense, and we made them pay for that. Especially you look at the Cade Cowell goal for number 5. That was a perfect example of making them pay by creating chaos for them. And that is a plus. And again, I think you look at this team and you say, what more could you have asked of them? Maybe to beat Jamaica, but everyone before the tournament was saying Jamaica is the best team that's ever existed, and they're clearly going to win the Gold Cup, and they didn't even win the group. So again, never trust the Jamaicans. This is my mantra, as you know, when it comes to CONCACAF. But what more do you want? They scored, 13 goals. You conceded 1, and you're on to the next round as the group leader. I mean, you could be Canada, who has to win by a decent margin.
You could be Mexico.
You could be Mexico losing to Qatar. Yeah. But Canada's in a struggle right now. They've got 2 points. They have to win on tonight. If they win or if they draw, like, they have to hope that there's some goal differential going their way. Like, they're not guaranteed at all a spot in the next round. And supposedly they're the best team in CONCACAF. That's what they've been saying for the past 3 years.
Ask Herdman, correct? Yes.
I got to be honest, John. Maybe Jarrett has options of you look at what the U.S. has done, and I think we have to give some credit to Berhalter for instilling a style and system of play that is clearly transferable across multiple interim coaches. When a linebackers coach can still coach your team to 6-0 wins, you're doing well. But John Herdman's time in Canada, I just have to wonder where we're at with that, because they have not looked like they've evolved since qualifying. They certainly look bad, just straight up bad in the World Cup. I know there's a lot of issues with their federation not giving them time to train and resources. I get it. But you still are a very talented team, and I'm just not sure what to make of John Herdman's time with Canada right now.
You're not maximizing the guys you have. If you're Canada, you have some transcendent players on that field, especially for CONCACAF. Mm-hmm. You're not maximizing it.
Yeah.
And like we talked about before, and watch West Virginia, you know how this goes. When you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. And John Herdman rolled out 3 different ideas and philosophies in that World Cup. He didn't really have one to do. And you gotta at least have something that you're gonna stick to your guns to, instead of your only weapon in the holster was, some sandpaper grit and trash talk. You needed more than that. And sure, that works when you're the underdog and you're on the come up. But once you get once you get the belt, well, guess what? Everyone's going to come for you, and you have to be able to adjust, and you have to have a style that's going to work, and you have to be able to stick to what you're going to do and know that it's going to work, and not have to keep changing it every 5 minutes and not maximizing the quality that you have, because you have some insanely talented players in Canada, but it's not working. And if you don't get through this, maybe you make a decision, maybe you don't, because of the issues with Canada. And frankly, that's even more terrifying if Canada is in such a mess as a federation that they can't make a change because they cannot find their ass with both hands on a map.
Yeah, I think that's where we get into the discussion of do you fire Herdman? Do you ask him to resign? How does that work? Because I do think that he took them very far in qualifying, as we saw. I will again reiterate, they massively outperformed both expected goals for and against. So you look at the U.S., who was unlucky really to not score more and get some better results in qualifying. We were, we created more XG in qualifying than anyone else. And I know no one likes to talk about XG, but at the end of the day, the U.S. still created a lot of chances, whereas Canada created some chances based on the way that they play, but those chances were not super high quality, and they just happened to finish them, which happens when you have Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies, Tejan Buchanan, Lucas Kevin. Like, you have very talented players, like you mentioned, Jarrett. I'm as a U.S. fan, I am very happy with the fact that we're looking at our third choice squad, outside of maybe Miles and Matt Turner, beating up on, CONCACAF Caribbean opponents. I mean, we've beat both four island nations in the past 2 games, 5 in total in this group. The entire Caribbean is being conquered by Jesus Ferreira.
Rulers of the Caribbean.
But you'd rather be in that situation than where Canada is playing with not like a fully first choice squad, but their preferred players are pretty much in the squad, and it's not great. I mean, you could be Mexico. The U.S. is in a very good spot. That doesn't mean we're going to win the tournament. That doesn't mean we should win the tournament. But I'd rather be in this position, seeing legitimately quality performances over the past 2 games, especially against bad opponents. But you could be Canada, where you were not getting the results you needed against not good opponents.
Or you could be Mexico and just not getting results, period.
You could be losing to Qatar.
Yeah, you could.
I will say, I don't know how they didn't score last night. Like, they were literally throwing everything. And
23, 24 shots on goal last night to 1. And the one that the nation that hosted the last World Championship had was the one they put in the back of the net.
Yeah, it was. Again, I don't know how Mexico didn't score last night, but
it was very similar, honestly, to like some of the Dutch games I watched under Frank de Boer when Frank was running the Dutch team, where like you're watching, you're like, and the Dutch lose like 2-0, and you're like, oh, that was terrible. Let me go look at how did y'all get 4 XG and not score?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and now Mexico is broken right now. That's a different story entirely. But
hey, they did win the group. I think we have to keep some perspective. They won their group. They did beat Honduras and Haiti, but yeah, like it's just been that is a down to earth result.
Yeah, it is, and there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, even and I know like there's I think it's a revisionist thing that we do with Tata Martino's time in Mexico. About it was this, it was that, it was a total failure, it was blah blah blah. Hey man, he still got Mexico to a World Cup. Looking at him right now,
yeah,
man, I think you would kill for that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I think Diego Coca actually was a good hire in the beginning, because I think Mexico needed to kind of bite the bullet and accept that they need to be a little bit more pragmatic and defensive. The problem is they just don't have the talent to really execute anything right now. I don't know. Coco, I don't know who is Canada going to – it's not about getting someone who's better than Herdman, right? That's not what I'm saying. It's just has his time passed? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Has he maxed out, basically?
Yeah. I mean, the problem with Canada truly is that they have a very good golden generation of players, that some older, but like mostly this mid-20s generation is very good, right? David, Davies, Buchanan, Cavallini, we mentioned them. I mean, even Alistair Johnson, players like that who are very good, performing high, playing in good leagues.
Alistair Johnson is going to be playing Champions League ball this year. What a world we live in.
I mean, seriously, yeah, like they've got really talented players playing in good leagues. The problem is I don't know who's behind them, first off.
Yeah.
And they haven't really rotated or like turned the page, which, I think you could say the same for the US right now, but there is, at least has been some sort of moving on from players, right? Like, you saw that Nations League. It was very different from even the 2021 Nations League. This roster is younger, right? We're looking at, like last night, Brian Reynolds, DeJuan Jones, who brought Jalen Neal. Like, by the way, Jalen Neal, if Josh Widener is going to Benfica, LA, what are you doing? You've got one of the best young center backs in the U.S. pool. I would be very surprised if Jalen Neal is not somewhere in Europe. And I don't mean like super high, but like if Benfica's for Widener, surely Neal can go to a similar level. I mean, Benfica, that type of team where they're a top dog in a smaller league, I think that could work for him.
All right, so
go to Celtic.
Yeah, so to carry,
please, because half of Celtics players get poached by Saudi Arabia now. Jota's going to go to.
Hey, he just put on about 20 pounds of muscle, but I think he could do it in the Scottish Premier League.
Hey, look, man, if you want someone to go and get tough, send them to Scotland. They won't play beautiful for most of the time, but
James Sands has looked a lot better, and he wasn't great at Rangers, but I think he learned a lot.
He was not.
He's been really good this tournament.
I will never get over Timo Pukki when he was like lighting it up at Norwich, being like, "Man, why didn't it work in Scotland?" He's like, "Man, they just beat the hell out of you up there." He's like, "I didn't expect it to be that physical." I'm like, it's the Highlands. What did you expect?
That's all they know.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
It's two teams that play with the ball, and everybody else plays terror ball. What did you expect?
Yeah.
I need you to do your research, son.
All right, so for the U20s for Canada, I'm buzzing through the rosters and recent call-ups. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy is 19. Matteo Bunbury, Jarrett, we've seen him with Crew 2. Midfield, you're looking at Jay Herdman. You're looking in defense at, Whitecaps 2 guys, Toronto FC 2 guys that we've seen, Jarrett. You're seeing some CPL folks. Hugo Mbonge, who is 18 with Toronto FC, Whitecaps 2. I'm seeing a lot of MLS Next Pro talent. I'm seeing CPL talent. And I'm not really seeing a whole lot of there. I mean, those
guys can be good. I mean, I just don't want to fall into this trap where we they don't have younger guys playing overseas, so they can't be good. I just want to make sure we qualify it, because it can make a difference. Like, their development could not be reaching its peak. I agree with that. I just don't want to fall into this trap of they're playing either young players playing close to home, so they're not good. I just want to make sure we don't fall into that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing too, Jarrett, is the CPL is not quite at that level to truly give you international quality. It's
agreed.
good. It's getting better, but it's not better than USL Championship. To be blunt, nothing wrong with that. USL Championship has clearly put some kids to top leagues in Europe. I mean,
but I think it's more of a League One comparison, probably, with CPL.
I'm trying to be generous. I'm trying to be generous, but you're right. I mean, I think it might be more League One with some USL, and that's because it's new. I mean, USL has had a history of having teams and competition, whereas CPL is, I think, 6 years old this year, maybe 5, something like that. And again, it goes back to kind of the issue that the U.S. had. And when we talk about the missing generation of why we somehow didn't beat Trinidad and Tobago, we're at 6 years ago now. And now we've beaten them like 27-1 since then. We didn't have enough MLS teams with quality academies to not just produce good players, because you looked at Philly or Dallas or Real Salt Lake, they were producing good players, but across the board, MLS academies weren't a thing at the time that these players needed development. And that's kind of where we're at with a lot of the Canadians, where yes, Alphonso Davies and guys like him developed through some MLS academies, but really developed outside of that, and it was independent of the academy system. Canada's struggling to get to that point, especially when you only have 3 academies right now fully operating. CPL teams are finding their way into that. So they're going to struggle to give you a full complement of roster players, right? It's going to be a little bit like Jamaica or Costa Rica, where you're going to have some very high-end talent, some talent that's not as high-end. But if the floor is just MLS players, which it needs to be for Canada, you're going to do well in CONCACAF. The problem is they're not performing well right now. I think a lot of it does have to do with the federation issues, but it's just yeah, David, it's because CPL doesn't have Canada sucks right now because of no pro rel. That's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot that was the narrative on Twitter. Let me make sure I write that down. But yeah, I mean, they're at a player development stagnation.
It's good thing you can only read 600 tweets a day right now, so you don't have to read about pro rel.
But Jarrett, if we just instill pro rel, we'll win every single World Cup. I mean, look at England. Look at Italy and Germany. They have pro rel. They've been great the past decade, right?
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Portugal with promotion relegation.
France is the bastion of France is the bastion of consistency with their program. Every year, no problems, no controversies.
Yes, exactly. Wow. Morning, Ted.
I mean, I guess technically Argentina has.
Do not say his name 2 more times. Do not Beetlejuice that man into my life, or I will find you and bring you a plagued prairie dog.
Of course you will. All right. So a couple of other names have popped up on the timeline when it comes to USMNT discussion this morning, Bart. One of them has been Zendejas. And it has not been a tournament where it's a tournament I'm sure that he would like to forget, because of it was an opportunity here, and it has been an opportunity so far that he has not been able to take advantage of.
No, you just said it. He hasn't been able to take advantage of the opportunities. It is a little frustrating because we've seen him play in Liga MX, and he's been very good. I mean, that's why we wanted him. I'm concerned because it's not 1 game, it's not 2 games. It's been 3 games throughout the group stage that he's been unimpressive. And maybe not unimpressive, but unimpactful.
Yeah. That's
probably the better word. He has not truly influenced or impacted a game yet. And that is a little concerning if you are the U.S. program who, granted, he didn't really have a choice too much to go to Mexico or us. Mexico also cheated to try to get him to come over to them. But, no one's shocked by Mexico playing a little dirty when it comes to dual national recruiting.
Wait, no, ...
Yeah, that's never happened. But, I think the problem is Zendejas was supposed to be the replacement for, like, Morris or Roldan a little bit, and Areola, like that type of player.
That's the next
name
to talk about.
Well, Zendejas was supposed to be the replacement to those guys. He's a little bit younger, and the goal is, like, can he just be a domestic, and I say domestic because he's on this hemisphere, and Liga MX has similar-ish league structure to the U.S. Can he be a domestic guy who can come into camps when we just need someone who can be a good training camp player, or, like, for this Gold Cup, impact and be good? Because we've seen that from Jordan Morris. We've seen that from Areola. We haven't seen that from Roldan. He still is not good, despite what Jason Longshore seems to think. But it's not been good for Zendejas. And it's concerning for him. Maybe not for us, because I think we have other wingers who maybe could be good, but it's concerning.
All right, so then go ahead and lay out your case for Christian Roldan here.
Christian Roldan is not going to be a part of the 2026 roster. If he is, we have fallen on very hard times. He continues to, I mean, look, he's played in 4 Gold Cups. He has 3 assists. That's it. Not like 3 per tournament, 3 total, 4 Gold Cups. He's had a lot of USMNT caps and has not been anything impactful outside of the Gold Cup. He just is not a player that elevates this team. Sorry.
There you go.
I'm sure he's really nice. I'm sure he's really cool. I'm sure he makes training camp really nice and practices go better and all these things that coaches care about. But at the end of the day, he doesn't bring anything to the field. Sorry.
Subs. Cade Cowell had a busy day and responding after a match where he did not have a good night, comes back and he was given a 7 by our friends at Soccer America, responsible for the rankings this time out, Arlo Moore Blue.
Jarrett, I don't know. You tell me about Cade Cowell. I think first off, we have to start with the beautiful mane of hair that he has. And secondly, I think he is a little Adama Traore-esque where it's like, well, north-south, he's really good. He can make some people miss. Does he actually have the talent to fully beat a team? I don't know, but he's fun to watch.
Mark, do you watch Stranger Things?
Do you?
I have watched it. I do not watch it. I'm trying to think. I've watched
with great
several episodes.
Okay.
Max's older brother, Billy, who is
Yes.
just the quintessential 80s bad boy. I want you to look at him, and I want you to look at Cade Cowell, and we need to discuss how they do not exist in the same room at the same time.
Okay.
It's a fantastic career that Cade Cowell has built on the side playing Billy from Stranger Things.
By the way,
Cade
wasn't
Cowell,
that same actor was the Red Ranger in the latest Power Rangers edition, by the way.
Oh, God, that's amazing.
So talk about kind of 80s bad boys. It's great.
All the streams.
Oh, boy.
R.I.P. Green Ranger. But Cade Cowell looks like a man who drinks Natty Light and only Natty Light. He looks like he drives a Trans Am. He probably took the muffler off that Trans Am too, or at least cracked it. He has stolen a few catalytic converters in his time.
I bet.
He has been arrested more than once shooting the hooch by the Turtle Troopers.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, he is a vertical player, man. And I do wonder if there's gonna be somebody coming a calling on him to get him out of San Jose at some point, because he's been really good for San Jose. It's been kind of up and down. He's doing like a lot of guys do, a lot of younger players do. You're looking for that consistency, and sometimes you're still trying to find it. And that's okay. But I wonder if he's going to get that move out at some point soon.
Couple of comments from the Twitch pitch. Burns says when Cal can't overpower defenders with athleticism, he's lost. Works at youth levels and in the Caribbean. Doesn't work in MLS
Twitch pitch.
Europe. And David, I think we talked about this here, or Bart did on POD, or the Scuffed guys. Cal's has amazing physical gifts, questionable soccer IQ, and decision making.
And that's where I'm with you, Jarrett. I think he has the physical attributes to warrant a move somewhere, out of San Jose, because I don't think he's going to truly develop there. I think he does need to move on. Obviously, we can talk about how the problem is with MLS teams or inside MLS. There's not a really great internal transfer market unless you want to spend a bunch of Garber bucks. So where does he go? Because I don't know where he fits in Europe.
We just
I'm not quite sure.
But Scotland.
I mean, we could talk. Scotland would be one.
If you strengthen him up with his quickness, I think he would be more athletic than a lot of the teams he would be facing. But
I think Scotland's a good shout. Maybe. I mean, I'm saying this because I cheer for them on occasion. Maybe Hearts, where it's not the Celtic Rangers have to be good all the time, but a Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen type situation where it's you're expected to be the third best team in that league. Yeah. And there's going to be pressure for you to perform because outside of the, 2 matches or the 2 opponents that you're going to have each year, you're expected to perform and win. So, I think one of those 3 second-tier teams might be good for him. I'm also thinking maybe a championship side, like, go somewhere in the championship that is not a relegation threat, but maybe not ready for promotion. Somewhere, again, where the goal is to play well and put yourself in good positions. I'm not sure. I don't know what his ceiling is. I do know what his floor is, and his floor is pretty high.
Man. All right. So, Bart, what else is on your mind this week as we have a day off before we get into the final day of Gold Cup group? And Canada, just so everybody knows, very, very busy day tomorrow. So whenever we post the Power Hour, or when we go on for the Power Hour, 4 matches, group stages ending simultaneously in Group C and D. Canada, big favorite against Cuba at a -909. Guadeloupe is a bit of a dog against Guatemala. Guatemala is a +131. Draws a +231. Guadeloupe is a +208. Costa Rica, big favorite against Martinique at a -172. Panama is a +104 against El Salvador. El Salvador is a +258. You mentioned the scenarios in C and D. Panama right now at 6 points. They've got El Salvador. Martinique has Costa Rica. That one could create a little chaos. You mentioned Group D. Guadeloupe, Guatemala, both at 4 points. Guadeloupe right now +3 in goal difference. Canada, the Fighting Herdmans, 2 points, 2 points above Cuba. They need what we refer to as win and some help with the 2 draws. What do you see in C and D?
Well, Costa Rica is struggling. They luckily have a fairly, easy opponent, but Martinique has been okay this tournament, so you can't write them off. They have to win. Mm-hmm. So for Costa Rica, that's going to be a struggle. Martinique just needs a draw, and they're through. I really am. I'm interested for that Panama El Salvador match because, again, it's one of those Central American rivalries that is just fun to watch. They don't necessarily hate each other. They just like to beat the shit out of each other. Sorry.
There it is. There's the explicit rating on a Monday.
It's basically a holiday. Does it count? So I'm just curious how both Costa Rica and El Salvador can prove that they are good, because Panama is starting to look like that best Central American team right now. They're playing very well. They made the Nations League finals. They look okay in both of their games. I don't want to give them too much credit, but they look entertaining. And they've been pretty entertaining this Gold Cup. But Group D is where the action really is, because Canada, you're right, they have to win. The problem is, I will say, if they win, and they should beat Cuba by multiple goals, they should. If they win, they are most likely through, because either Guadeloupe or Guatemala, if they draw, Canada's multi-goal win will put them ahead of Guatemala on goal difference. But Canada has to win. And they've been not great at keeping teams out of the back of the net. They've also been, not fantastic at creating scoring opportunities for themselves. They had, I don't want to say got lucky in the first game, but they were not dynamic enough. So I'm curious, but that Guatemala match will be very contentious, I am sure.
All right, and so the way things lay out, the U.S. and here's how it is determined.
This is why, John, I'm like, Group D is the most entertaining, because obviously it affects the U.S., but also I don't know which of these 3 teams I would want to face.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Right now, the winner of Group C gets the Qataris at Jerry World on Saturday. Back into the doubleheader is Mexico against the number 2 team out of Group C. Sunday at TQL, it is the winner of Group D getting Jamaica, followed by the second place team in Group D against the United States, primetime Sunday night against the United States. So number 2 Group D against the U.S., 9 o'clock-ish kick at TQL on Sunday. So that's what you're staring at right now out of Group D as the number 2 team. Aren't you kind of rooting for Guadeloupe?
I mean, I think that would be cool. They're the team I would feel the least comfortable playing.
Okay.
I don't want to face Canada though, like at all.
And that was I was trying to figure out, is it Guatemala or Guadeloupe?
I would rather play Guatemala because I think I know what type of team they are, and I think that we have the ability to beat them.
Yeah.
But Guadeloupe's an island nation in the Caribbean, so maybe that's what we need because Jesus Ferreira will score another hat trick on them.
There you go. Abby, right now on goal difference, it is Guatemala who is second in Group D. Guadeloupe is right now on top in Group D. Guatemala is second on goal difference. Canada is third and needs help. Cuba, if they win, they go to 3 points. They can't go anywhere. So it's 3 teams, 2 spots. Guadeloupe, Guatemala with 4 points. Canada with 2 points going up against Cuba, who's -4 in goal difference. So that's what you're staring at right now.
And, just, again, be mindful. Canada, they got 2 goals against Guadeloupe in that first match. Guadeloupe defensively not as strong, I think it's fair to say. But, that they got a 0-0 draw with Guatemala and they had chances at the end, but they also weren't great throughout the match. I don't know. Guadeloupe is the one that I think is the wild card, but I don't want to play Canada because it just I don't want to deal with that banter if bad things happen. I feel much more confident about beating Guadeloupe or Guatemala.
Yeah. Okay. And Abby, yes, it was. This was the other thing that I wanted to get into before Bart goes. Yes, the chant happened again last night late. I think I heard the announcement over the PA the first time. Then nothing else was done when it came to the chant. And it is once again in a losing situation. Mexico fans weaponizing the chant against their own team when they're trailing late in the match.
Yeah, and that's the issue right now
No, they didn't stop the game, Abby. They didn't get to – in the referee and center ref's mind, they did not get to that third point. They should have gotten to the second point, but they didn't get to point 2 because they were at 90+, and I'm guessing the ref just wanted to get out of town. Go ahead, Bart.
Well, and that's where we're at, right, is that the fans are clearly using this as almost a punishment to their team.
Yeah.
Or at least some sort of admonishment of their team. Maybe they're cheering that for their team. I don't know. After their team.
Get the match over with, yeah.
But that's the problem that CONCACAF has to – it's not the chant anymore because I think CONCACAF has done in matches all they can do. We could abandon matches, but we really don't want to have to get to that. We really don't want to. I'm saying that as a referee. We really don't want to have to get to that point. So now you have to think about how do we take care of this outside of the match environment. And I don't know how that is going to be resolved at CONCACAF tournaments because you can't ban Mexico fans.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's buying tickets.
True. That's true.
Are you going to have a closed door match for Mexico in the Gold Cup? But that's not fair to the fans of, I almost said Qatar, the fans of the other nations that actually have people who live there who like that country. It's not fair. It's not fair for them to not be able to attend either, because again, you can't say no Mexico fans because how do you know that they're Mexico fans buying tickets? You can't say no Honduras fans. They showed out. Good for them. No Haiti fans. No, they deserve to watch their team play. Especially that's the reason you host this in the U.S. is because you have a myriad of fans who come from all different parts of this region who live here. It's hard, but how do you punish the Mexico Federation, which we've tried again before? We've tried that. I don't know what the solution is because you cannot just abandon matches in a competitive tournament like this. You can't have closed door matches in a competitive match. And then you can't just be like, no Mexico fans because they're going to buy tickets and probably come in with like something, oh, if you're wearing a Mexico jersey, you can't come in. Well, they're going to just wear a jacket. Like, it's not. I don't know what the solution is, John. I don't know.
Jarrett, what's on your mind?
The problem with the whole Mexico thing is like, it feels like it feels like sometimes it is a punishment for the Mexican fans and inflict on their players. But it also has this petulant, I'm going to take my ball and go home because it ain't going my way
Absolutely.
kind of thing. And it's just so. It would be funny if it wasn't so tragic, Yeah. It's kind of where I am with it.
Unfortunately,
I'm almost at the point, and that sounds really bad, where if we stop making a thing out of it, maybe they'll stop making it a thing.
No, then they'll feel like they're not
feel like they've won.
Yeah. Right. But that I understand completely. It's just like, I'm tired of having this discussion every time. And it's like, just stop.
Well,
tired of them being dickbags. So
yeah. And I mean, the larger issue here is, and this is why I've always made the point of having stupidity down here as a segment on the show, because if we don't continue to, and I'm going to probably have a double negative here and my mom's going to be driven crazy, but if we stop talking about it, then it continues to have its own lifeblood. And I think that it has to continue to be exposed for its stupidity so we don't forget about the stupidity, if that makes any sense.
I'm wondering if you can withhold winning from the federation for the tournament, right? Like, hey, if this happens, you're not going to get money from winning or participating. Maybe that's something.
So bring out a giant wheel, like
a wheel of punishment?
Like a wheel of morality. Yeah.
Okay. Like
the old MAX cartoons. Put 11 spots on that wheel. Every time the chant happens, you spin the wheel and it's going to land on a player. The player's off.
Ooh.
Do the chant again.
Is it position or actual player?
Oh, we put players' names on there. We just write them with crayon. We put them on the board.
I like it.
and the wheel's like 20 feet tall.
Yeah,
I need like 3 feet.
The Purdue bass drum. You just take it out there, and it's that big.
Yeah, I need this thing to be like, it takes 3 people to get it going, and it spins for a good 2 minutes at least.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes the same sound that you get in Price is Right when they spin the wheel at the end of the game, and then it just slows down. Whoever it lands on, players off. You're playing with 10, but. Just get a big cartoonish wheel and do this, and just, kind of belittle them about it.
Well, and David's got an interesting point. Find the Fed, and then if Mexico's funding the development of other countries, they'll fall farther behind. Yeah, literally, just to hand it to all the other nations that are there. And then Rich with a point. Mexico will make up any CONCACAF money lost by doing a sum friendly in Houston. But no, I like the idea of the wheel of stupidity. I do like that. Wheel of punishment, wheel of stupidity. I do like that. Bart.
That's the other thing, John. Sorry to kind of derail again.
What? When has the show ever had a rail?
I know. Sorry. I'm going outside the bumpers on the bowling lane here. I think this is one that we really should consider. And this is where FIFA needs to step in. Force Mexico to not be able to play friendlies outside of Mexico, home friendlies outside of Mexico.
Yeah.
Because this does seem to be a real issue here in the U.S. And we also know that that's where they make their most money. So if you force Mexico to only be able to play, like, you can't play friendlies outside of as the host nation outside of your country.
Okay.
That might be a punishment for them, because now you're not looking at the cash cow of 75,000 paying $200 a ticket in Houston, or 68,000 in Phoenix, or 90,000 in LA.
True.
So that might be something. And I mean, granted, they're still going to just play it in, Azteca or Monterrey, but that might be one of the solutions, is to kind of put limits on where they can play. And maybe that'll put limits on the amount of money they can bring in. And then you have full control if it happens in Mexico, right, at the game hosted by the Mexican Federation in their home country. You fully can say, look, it's your fans.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can actually take action against you and prevent you from playing in front of fans for whatever. I don't know.
Tease episode 61 for me. You've got a first-time guest.
So, yeah, Ebony is a friend of mine that I've known through American Outlets for a while. She does a lot of good work for the Shea Butter FC and Diaspora United podcast. She will be down in New Zealand. No, she'll be in Australia, for the World Cup coming up. And she is also a supporter of, she's involved in the supporters groups for both North Carolina FC and NC Courage. So big women's soccer knowledge base there. Needed to get someone's perspective who, is up close and personal when it comes to NWSL. Mm-hmm. She is an advocate for Casey Murphy as a starting keeper. But very, very fun to talk with her in an official capacity rather than just us texting or tweeting back and forth.
And so that'll be up at 1 o'clock on the network. So set your notifications. 1 o'clock, Soccer for USPod episode 61, where they go over the U.S. women's national team roster and how it looks as Bart and everyone else prepares for their trips. I need your itinerary when you figure it out so we can figure out time changes and when you can be on, or if we're having to do 1v1s, sir.
Yeah. I think the best thing, John, I'll say is I'm planning to bring some recording equipment. I have a Bluetooth lav mic for my phone.
Okay.
And so I'll be recording via that. It actually is a decent microphone. I've used it a couple times for work. So I'll be recording some daily or post-match stuff there.
Okay.
So that will be something that I'll just send you from that. And there will be short little snippets.
Yeah, no worries.
Probably featuring my travel partner as well, or whoever else I'm staying with that night. We've got a bunch of different guests that we'll have. Just kind of talking about the game and the environment, not necessarily breaking down the game itself, but what it's like down there in New Zealand. I'll be going to a couple of other non-US games as well, so we want to talk about those. I mean, we're going to the Spain-Japan game, so that'll be a very fun match to talk about, I'm sure. So yeah, we'll be recording a lot. Whether we'll have to figure out how do we do live hits here. But luckily I don't
just dial it up like we do on StreamYard, bro.
Right. We'll figure it out. If I can make it, great. If not, then we'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll do a lot of recordings that way so that we can get content to you, but then hopefully do some morning show hits as well.
You and Luke Winstall. Luke Winstall's covering the hosts for the University of Georgia, and so Luke will be with us there, and you'll be with us down there. So it'll be fun to get all the word going on. So enjoy your Monday, which is now, is today technically a day off for you, or are you working today?
No, I'm working.
Working. Yes. Bart is working today on Monday as he's with his Atlanta United mug after the 2-0 win. So Bart, be good. Enjoy your Monday. Match day on Tuesday, July 4th. Have a safe 4th. We'll catch up with you on the flip side.
Cheers, y'all. Be safe. Keep all your fingers and toes.
Yes. Fireworks and things. There's Bart Keeler, everybody. So Bart's done. And Jarrett, so in the remaining minutes that we have here, soccer on the tube today. We do have some games. Goal TV, Fanatis.com. If you don't have Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can get to BN, Goal TV, For the Fans, Teise, all those. You can catch action going on in South America. Uruguayan Primera on goal at 2 and 6:30. Peruvian Primera at 9:30. 2 to NA, and this is something that I did not know until I was watching the Gold Cup coverage. This is the opening weekend of Liga MX. They're already dialing it up because they know that they can't do anything during Leagues Cup. So this is the opening weekend of the Apertura in 2023. Leon and Guadalajara is Monday Night Football. That's at 10 o'clock on 2 to NA. Loudon Hartford, they're on the plus at 7:30. Paramount Plus has the Argentine Primera triple header. Sarmiento Racing Club at 5, Newell's and Gimnasia La Plata at 7, Huracan River Plate at 8, Brazilian Brasileiros at 3 and 7, Atlético Goianense and Sao Paulo and Goiás and Coritiba. So your Marcelino Moreno update comes at 7 o'clock on Paramount Plus in the Brazilian League. So before we go, we have, let's see, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, things left unsaid, folks who are going places. Tonali's deal to Newcastle is officially official.
You get it's not really anybody going anywhere, but exciting for this weekend is now that Trinidad has unfortunately washed out.
Yes.
You get Jay Fortune back for Saturday against
Yes.
Montreal.
Yes, you do, and you're going to need him because you do not have
Uh-huh.
you probably won't have Gigi, and you're not going to have Franco Ibarra. So that probably means that Jay Fortune goes into the starting lineup in Montreal. Roy Hodgson is officially staying on as Palace manager at the age of 75. He is saying that he is chasing after a mid-table finish. Mid-table for Crystal Palace. So basically, safe. Right in line with everything else with Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace going for the safe thing right there. And Jarrett, Stevie G set to take the Saudi Pro League job with Al-Ettifaq. Insert laughter here. He initially turned it down after traveling to Saudi Arabia for talks last month. However, discussions resumed last week. Senior figures at the club are now increasingly confident of securing his services. The PIF announced on June 5 that they would take control of 4 teams in the Saudi Pro: Al-Ittihad, Al-Aqli, Al-Hilal, and Al-Nasser, with the other 25% controlled by a non-profit organization. Al-Ettifaq is not one of those 4, but it looks like Stevie G is set to take over Al-Ettifaq in the Saudi Pro League. I just like saying Al-Ettifaq. I like saying Ettifaq. So Stevie G.
You said it 12 times. I imagine it was therapeutic for you.
Yes, it is very therapeutic. So the biggest news is the Tonali. Tonali is officially official. Mason Mount was spotted arriving for his Manchester United medical ahead of the £55 million move. Trying to see if there's apparently, according to Ben Jacobs, Al-Ettifaq has ambitious spending plans. Coutinho's a big priority. And so Gerrard managed him at Villa. Jesse Lingard, who's currently training with Inter Miami. Keep an eye on that with the window opening up in 2 days. Another name being considered. He is open to a Saudi move as well. So the intrigue is there. Mauricio Pochettino had his first day at Chelsea. And there's the video of him driving or being driven into the facility. Marcelo Brozovic set to officially join Al Nassr next week, 3-year deal. Everything's fully agreed on the player side. Late change to the price, but it looks like the Brozovic to Al Nassr is complete. And your required reading of the day is the Vera Poe article with what's going on at what the stories that were being told to Steph Yang and to Sarah Shepard about Vera Poe's time in Houston. So from Steph Yang's teaser on what's left of the Bird app, allegations of a culture of fear, comments on white players who said they felt miserable, watched all the time like they were going crazy, spoke to former Houston Dash players and staff about Vera Poe, who has denied all of it. Poe approached The Athletic in April about protecting coaches from players. From Steph, given previous complaints such as in the NWSLPA joint investigation, they went back to former Dash players and staff. 7 of them spoke on the record. So that is your required reading of the day. Keep an eye on that. Jarrett, so you're leaving us later today for the rest of the week. Is that right?
Yeah, and to Burns' point, I think Marcelino has been bought.
Yeah,
in Brazil. I believe that was done. I would check.
Yeah.
However, checking is a pain in the ass because
I think he is. I think he is that off the books. Yeah.
Because fake smart guy decided to put a 600 tweet limit on your Twitter because they don't pay their bills correctly and they're trying to cover up their stupidity.
Yes.
Whatever, man. You want to be acting like you're Tony Stark, whatever. Just please leave me out. Just please stop popping up on my news. Not even just on Twitter, just in general. Just stop talking for a day.
Yes.
Go back. Just go back to not talking every day. You can check there, but I believe that they triggered it. I believe they manually triggered it.
I think it was manually triggered. I think that is correct.
It was like to your point, like it was a like it was one of those that it had an automatic trigger, but I think they went ahead and manually did it. I'm trying to confirm.
Yeah. And the other news, Ricky Ricardo reminds us, at halftime yesterday, the George Bello rumors to RSL started.
I mean, I think Atlanta, if my understanding is correct, Atlanta loses, the rights to him when they sell him out. So like Atlanta's not going to get any because at that point it's almost like a double jeopardy, for lack of a better analogy.
Right.
You got a transfer when you sold him to Armenia Bielefeld.
Yep.
You don't get a second transfer when he comes back into another team. Does he come here? I don't know. I think he had offers from Championship as well as a couple other leagues.
Birmingham City, I think, was in that list.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, it's better than third division Germany, I guess, because it's one of those, men, that I hate it for Bello because it's the move he wanted. The reports were at the time that Atlanta had offers from other places, I think from one of the Borussia clubs.
Yeah.
And
I think it was it Circle?
I think it was Circle K Borussia.
Yes.
But he wanted to go to Armenia Bielefeld. So Atlanta, if I'm remembering the timeline correctly, he wanted to do that. Atlanta went to them and said, hey, just bump up your offer a little bit more. You don't have to necessarily match Borussia.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, and it got done. This is what he wanted to do, and you're trying to do right by him. I think Byrne talked about this. Like, Armenia's manager left, or got fired shortly thereafter, and dude, it was just a mess the whole way through. Wherever he goes, hopefully he's able to play. Hopefully he's able to kind of rebuild himself. He's still very young. He's still got plenty of time. It's very disappointing how quickly everything fell off, though. Frankly, it was startling how quickly it fell off. Yeah, Bert, I'm gonna have to check Moreno now because I'm wondering if I have Mandela affected my brain into this. I'll have to check.
No, but I thought that it had been triggered, although Transfermarkt said,
Transfermarkt's. That's what I'm now. My brain is like, did this happen?
Yeah, because I thought that had been mentioned before. So, see, now we're having to do Marcelino. I'm trying to check on what we're staring at. Let's see. So Moreno is officially 28. That we do know. Back on June 25th. So I'm trying to see. I would swear up and down that was triggered. That loan was absolutely triggered. But that's just me.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe if that's the case, then he's still on loan, and you've already got one of them off the books with we already got one of them off the books with Barco, Sting, and River, which is good for him. And Burns Point Bello will not get another chance in Europe. He's proved he cannot break into a second DL lineup over a 33-year-old, and when he did, he looked bad. His only chance at MLS. It might be his chance to come back and just. There's nothing wrong with being a dude who just plays in this league, though. And maybe he goes somewhere else at another time in his career. But yeah, he was very antsy for that move, and he got it. And it's been bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And one last thing before we go. Oh, what's up? Toronto got a third kit. No, so Toronto got a third kit. Mazel tov, Toronto. You got a third kit, and that's that's loud. That looks like a Baskin Robbins exploded. That's what that looks like to me.
Okay, to be fair, I firmly believe that every third kit should be as weird and gaudy as humanly possible. If it's your third kit, cool. I'm good with it looks like a cotton candy machine.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Yeah.
Good. Every third kit should be off the wall, weird and beautiful and chaotic.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
every third kit should be weird. Because especially if you're going to be in a situation in MLS where your first two kits are generally pretty stock and boring, then your third kit should be bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah, and Jordan's letting us know Brendan Aronson looks like he's heading to. I know that there had been discussions with Aronson and Union Berlin, but looks like it's Brendan Aronson is heading that way. So it looks like it's officially becoming more official. Okay, so Byrne thinks Coritiba is paying his entire salary, so it's not hitting the cap, so he's off the books.
That would make sense.
Okay, the amortization.
Maybe I'm crossing up him and Barco. Okay, yeah. So I mean, based on everything Burns found, like we're going to operate under Marcelino still being here as technically a player on loan,
but salary amortized
handling salary. So.
Yeah,
and then something you deal with in the offseason if that's the case. I mean, he doesn't come back till December anyway, so
yeah.
You cross that bridge in the offseason if you want to just sell him somewhere or buy him out, however you want to deal with it. From what I understand, he was doing pretty solid down there.
Yeah. One more thing before we go. Tom wants to talk about Brooks Lennon. He says he's become a one-trick pony, much like Aruju, just with the opposite foot. Defenders know what exactly he's going to do, and when they shut that down, he's got nothing else. It's unbelievable players at this level are that one-footed.
I mean, one-footed. You can be one-footed and do stuff. Miguel Alvarado is cripplingly one-footed.
Yes.
PC Martinez is cripplingly one-footed. What I wanted more from Brooks is what he did late in that game, which is when you get that ball on the right side, I want him driving into the near post. I want him driving in and, putting a shot on goal like he did in the first half. Or, finishing that chance late in the game, which he did. It's what I've been wanting him to do more of.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone knows he's looking for that cross. I think his crossing has been better than we feel like, and it's a very weird thing to say. But he delivers a really good dead ball. But I do want him to be more aggressive in those moments. Every now and then, take that touch to the right. They're looking for you to put that cross in. But when they're doing that, take that touch to the right. Drive down to the end line. Put a shot on goal. Try and flash it across the face of goal. Give them something else to think about, please.
Mm-hmm. Give them something else to think about. That's where we are. All right. The other required requested reading of the day is a story put out by our friends at Yosemar Football, and it has to do with the 777 ownership group. It's a U.S. private investors group, and it's a deep dive that our friends at Yosemar have done, because you might hear them in a multi-club model, but might be a little bit more to it. So requested required reading, the Vera Post story in The Athletic, and our story about 777 with our friends at Yosemar Football. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Time to be determined, because of folks who are doing the Peachtree, including the boss, and making sure that everything is cool with that. So no morning show tomorrow. It'll be in the afternoon, something power hour-ish, but set your notifications while Jarrett heads to Colorado to go hang out with rabid prairie dogs. It'll be a power hour. We'll go over everything, all the matches, all the matchups, all that kind of stuff, all your questions, all your carryover, all that. From today, we'll talk about anything else from the weekend. We'll talk about it tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon is when we will do something. Don't know when, but set your notifications and be ready to jump on it about an hour's notice. So, Jarrett, what are the plans when you head out to Colorado, just staring at rabid prairie dogs?
Yeah, we're going to stare at rabid prairie dogs. Going to go to the mountains, just get away from the world for a bit.
Okay. So he gets away from the world, and we will, and just send pictures. Send pictures and videos. That's all we want. That's all we're asking.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see.
All right.
We'll see if I catch bubonic plague from a prairie dog.
There you go. Like I said, tomorrow afternoon, and just everybody hydrate, because it's supposed to be thick and nasty, and just hydrate.
Well, I mean, also because I'm going up into the mountains.
Yes.
Even higher above sea level, which again, Atlanta is higher above sea level than people consider it.
Yes. So
one of my favorite things about it.
Yes. Just make sure that everything's cool, and everything is, and I mean that both figurative and literally. So thanks to everybody for hanging out today. Once again, episode 61 of the Soccer for USPod goes over the women's national team roster. That comes out at 1:00 today. We'll have this come out in short order. We'll pull the segment with Bart, post that as well. So it's a very, very busy day. A lot of USMNT stuff, Atlanta United stuff as well. Great to see everybody yesterday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Jarrett, since it is that time of the show, go ahead and send us home.
Much obliged to y'all.
What he said. Jarrett, be safe. Y'all be safe. We'll be back at it again tomorrow afternoon. End of the show. That means we get to do this. We'll see you again tomorrow afternoon.